Hello, my fellow crafters. Today I am going to show you some of the beautiful stones that I got from this place here in El Paso, Texas. I am not sponsored by them or an affiliate of them. I just picked up some mineral stones from them, and absolutely wonderful people and a huge selection. So today I'm going to show you some of the stones that I actually picked up for myself to wrap. I'm going to do a very simple common wrap today with one of the stones. I just have to decide which one. But first, let's go through some of these stones so you can see what they look like. This here is a really pretty slice of amethyst. I'm not 100% sure exactly what I'm going to do with this or how I'm going to wrap it, but I felt like I had to have it. I want to try to do something with this. This here is a piece of ocean jasper, which this is going to be a really unique wrap because this is an odd shape. It's not the typical cabochon. Then we have a really nice teardrop shape. This is a Bali Coral. You see all the little pieces of coral in that mineral stone there. So this is a very neutral colored piece. So this is not really something I would normally do, but at the same point, it's nice to have something different to work with. And I know a lot of people actually like some of the more neutral colors anyhow. And then I have this black feather lace. I'm assuming this is a jasper. That one is something, once again, that I haven't really seen a whole lot of. My whole goal was to get something different and unique and something that you don't normally see. Now this here is a typical teardrop shape pendant. This is going to be a really easy one to wrap in various different ways. I just have to decide exactly what I want to do with this. And this is a red Imperial Jasper. This one here is a Magnaprase, I believe is how you pronounce it. I could be wrong on the pronunciation there. That is a very nice light colored green with some white hues in it, some off-whites. And then here we have a Variscite. And this one here is really, really neat. I love that real gentle little touch of a green, almost a teal. And honestly, I think I'm going to wrap this one today because I want to do a very simple wrap where there's not going to be a whole lot of work in the wire. It'll leave more of the stone to stand out. Okay, so I changed my mind on the gauge wire that I'm going to use for this. I am going to use 4 pieces of 20 gauge square wire because the 18 is not malleable enough for what I want to do with this. It's definitely strong enough to hold it, but it's not moving the way that I want it to move. So because of that, it's making it a little bit harder for me to stabilize the stone without an issue. So I'm going to cut myself 4 generous pieces of the square wire. Like I said, I'm not really worried about waste because I like having that extra. I'd say my longest piece is about 14 inches. The next 2 longest pieces are about 13 inches. And then the smallest piece is about 8 inches. I have 20 gauge, dead soft, half round wire. Which I folded in half right here with my pliers so that it's easier to kind of catch that square wire. I'm going to put my smallest wire in the front and the largest wire in the back. And then come down to about the center point of all of them. It doesn't have to be perfect, but The closer you are to that, the better. And the reason why I'm using 4 is because I want it to completely cover the side of the stone without an issue to make sure to hold it in place properly. And I'm just going to wrap that around a few times to make sure that I have it nice and secured. And this is going to be the side that I cut off. Well, maybe I might be able to get that down to the next side. Yeah, that'll seat in there just fine. So I want to have an odd number on the outside. Now the bottom of my jeweler's hammer is about the same shape as that stone is. So I'm actually going to wrap that wire around here just to get a better shape. But before I do that, I'm going to come up the sides about, let's say, 1/2 inch. Forgot to get my wire started. Like I said, this is a very simple wrap. Just a basic frame. And then next week I'll do one that is just a little bit more advanced. I'll still keep it maybe intermediate. I won't go above that, I don't think. But I'll try to make it simple enough that even a beginner would be able to handle it and help take them into intermediate. Now that is going to move around a little bit, but that's okay. And yes, I know it would make far more sense if I were to actually measure. But that's not really how I'm used to doing these things. And to me, that might make it a little bit too rigid as far as the art part of it. Like, I don't want to have any one set pattern. I like to just be able to go with the flow of whatever it is that I'm doing. And that's hard to do when you have that rigidity of the measurements. I'm not saying they don't help or they don't have a purpose or that I never use them. Just saying it's not something I normally use. And the reason why I'm using this is because it's a little easier to stabilize that wire and bring that up around without having to fight with where the stone is. And kind of really take your time with this. This is going to move around some as you work with it. For example, that there, they slide around a lot. That's another reason why I'm not too worried about being perfect, because if I was worried about being absolutely perfect, one, it's never going to happen, and two, it's going to take me a lot longer to finish a piece like this than what it should. I accidentally chipped the stone a little bit trying to wrap it with the 18 gauge. That's another reason why I decided to move it to the 20 gauge, because I was being a little too rough. That's the back wire. Okay, there we go. It's a little bit better. All right. Now I'm going to use some 22 gauge wire to make the bail. And I'll probably take about 2 feet of this. All right. So now I'm going to take and wrap that around all of the wires, trying to keep them all side by side without getting misplaced. I'm actually going to take and wrap that towards the inside so that it's not sticking out, and I can trim it off here in a second. Now, I'm not worried about absolute perfection at this point. I'm just worried about getting them all together, and then I can worry about fiddling with them after I've got them together. And I'm going to go around the whole bundle 3 times, just to kind of make sure everything is where I need it to be. And I'm going to take this little piece and I'm going to trim this off before I get too far into things, so that I know that it's out of the way and it's taken care of, and I don't have to go back and try to fetch it from between everything. If I can Get in there. There we go. I did cinch these sides down a little bit more so they're staying a little bit better, but they're still kind of a little slippy. I'm going to take my round nose in and I'm going to very gently take that bottom wire and bend it in. You don't want to go too much or this is going to slide around before you're ready to, and it's going to get all out of shape and moved around. So you're going to want to go back and forth real slow and gentle. And that'll help to keep this little piece down here in the right spot. Even that slips inside some, but and that helps to keep it centered a little tiny bit more. I mean, it's still a little off, but might be able to do something with that here in a minute. And then I'm going to bring down that piece too just a bit, just to make sure that that has a nice secure back. So it can just seat right in there. We'll go back to the bale in just a second. I want to make sure that I have this where I want it. And I might actually secure the stone so that I can just go to work on the bale and not have to worry about it. Because I have a habit of holding on to things in different places and maybe putting too much pressure on it and then misshaping things. So if I have the stone already locked into place, then I'm not really going to mess with it too much. The stone is going to basically act as the protector for the frame. Although somehow I managed to get that. Must have slid out when I put the stone in there. I'll try that again. I wonder if I want it like that. Because it doesn't make too much difference. There we go. Now with this being 20 gauge wire, it is very easy to manipulate, so I'm only going to use my fingers for right now, just to kind of move that very top wire over top of the stone's shoulders, just barely. So I don't want to do too much manipulation with the wire until I am ready to actually start forming it. I just want to kind of hold it in place, and I can go back through a little bit later and start to really tighten things down and have everything exactly where I want it. But I'm going to work on the bale, and to do that I'm going to take these two back wires, which I've used the front and the middle before too. This time I'm using the back. And I'm going to kind of move these ones here out of the way. And all I'm going to do is wrap that half round around the square wire all the way up until I get to a point where I'm happy with it, that I can start to make that bale. And you got to be careful that you don't twist your half wire, which I already did. So I gotta fix it up before it gets any worse. You really want to take your time and make sure, like I said, you're not twisting about your half round and you are getting those wraps very close together and uniform. Now I do like my bales to be somewhat large. If I make a pendant and then put it onto a necklace that I like for that in particular pendant, that doesn't necessarily mean the person that likes the pendant is going to like the necklace. So I try to have the bale large enough that it can accommodate going over top of various different closures. That way I can switch out the necklace if need be. And yes, this bale might seem excessive, but that's okay. Now I'm going to end it here. So I'm going to take that half round and just wrap it around one arm of the wire, like 2 or 3 times, just to make sure it's kind of locked into place. And then give it a trim right in between the 2 wires. Set that off to the side for another use. And now I am actually going to bend this forward. I usually do it towards the back, but I'm going to switch things around this time and I'm going to bring it forward. But I am going to bring in my bail loop pliers to get more of a loop on there and a little bit less of a square. I don't like that edge. And now I have a little extra wire that I can do things with. I said I don't want to go overboard because I really don't want to overtake that stone. So now it is time to come in and do my last little tweaks on the stone itself to make sure that that is seated in there proper. And like I said, I want to go very slow and methodical back and forth so it kind of stays as equal as possible. Now you don't have to do it symmetrical if you don't want to. It is 100% up to you. It's just for this here, I kind of want to keep it close to it as possible, which is definitely not my strong suit, but that's what I want to try to do for this, so. Now right now I'm just kind of taking that one arm of the bale and wrapping it into the inside of the bale. And I don't want to do that. I think I'm going to cut these off and tuck them down inside of there. You're basically hiding those tucked ends or the cut ends down inside. So you won't be able to see it from the front, and it's not going to snag on anything in the back. Now you could very well do more with those extra arms if you want to, or you can do less with them. It's 100% up to you where you want to end it at. Like I said, I definitely did more with this than what I had intended. So now I have to figure out where to end these where they're not going to look terrible. I guess I can just wrap it around the bail and tuck it down in. Alright, so it lays nice and flat. Here is the finished pendant. Like I said, there's a little bit more going on here than I had wanted. But overall, I think it's suiting for it. It's not too much of a feminine look to it. Just adds a little bit of accent to it. Like I said, it kind of looks like somebody's hairstyle, which is kind of neat all on its own. Not a whole lot going on in the back. Got a little extra going on in the front. The bail is large enough that I can change out the cord if I need to. Although I think I'm going to put this on a leather cord. This is a very simple, basic wrap. It is relatively easy to do. You can use it for various cabochons. And it's a really good place to start your foundation for wire working with stones like this. Now the wrap I'm going to show you next week is a little bit more intermediate. Like, we'll say upper beginner to lower intermediate level wrap. I do enjoy using that one for this type of cabochon where it's a little bit more flat, a lot more than this style wrap. Like I said, I don't really do a whole lot of these wraps. So in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy crafting, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you. Bye.